Asset. AV.
And they'd have to go through
The September the 8th, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is now called to order. All rise for this pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. The roll call, please.
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Barlow, Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Hassett,
Present.
Commissioner Meal,
Here.
Commissioner Martin,
Here.
Commissioner Abbott,
Here.
Commissioner Alexander,
Here.
Commissioner Morse, and Vice Chair Gillette.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We will now have an automated message.
Should anyone wish to speak, please complete a request to speak form, which is also located on the lobby table next to the sign-in sheet. A request to speak form must be completed for each item you would like to speak on. Please note, there are stairs on the right, left, and center aisles, and we ask that you use caution when using the stairs. There is also a ramp located to the audience's left. If anyone has written comments, exhibits, petitions, photos, or letters they intend to present at today's meeting, have 17 copies and give them to a staff member at the back of the auditorium. Staff member, please hold up your hand for the audience. If you do not have 17 copies, you may use the overhead camera to present your documents. Please place your documents on the podium and line it up with the arrows indicated. If you want your documentation to go on record, you must hand them to the clerk after your presentation with the agenda item number clearly marked on the documentation. Members of the public cannot speak to staff members that are seated at the tables with microphones during the meeting. If you have questions, please see the staff member located in the back of the auditorium. All speakers will be limited to 2 minutes to make their presentation statements. Everyone, please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate during the meeting. If you must take a call, please leave the meeting area and go outside to have your conversation. We also ask the audience to refrain from talking with one another during the presentations and discussions. Today, the Planning and Zoning Commission will hear public testimony and then forward a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. Everyone attending the meeting is asked to remember that the administrative building and campus are tobacco-free areas, which means no smoking is allowed from curb to curb. No food or drinks are allowed in the auditorium except for bottled water. If there are any items remaining on the agenda, the Commission will break for lunch for 1 hour per the Chairman's discretion.
Today, the Planning and Zoning Commission will hear public testimony and then forward a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. The items with the recommendation made by the Commission will be heard by the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday, October the 4th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. in this same location, with the exception of any continued items. The August 11th, 2021 minutes will be deferred to the October 13th, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The first item that we have is item number 1. Mr. Gunderson.
Item number 1 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 402-14088 from an RE10A residential recreation 10-acre minimum lot size zone to an AR agricultural residential zone to bring the property into compliance and to allow for a minor land division in the scenic vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
We'll now open the meeting to the public. Does anyone want to speak on this item? Then I will close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have any questions? And I call for a motion.
I'll move to approve item number 1 with the staff recommendations.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. We'll now go to item number 2. Mr. Bolin.
Item 2A is an evaluation of a request for an amendment to the Mojave County General Plan and an amendment to the Virgin River Communities Area Plan from a neighborhood commercial land use designation to a low-density residential land use designation for a portion of assessor's parcel number 402-77010E in the scenic vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Now open it to the public. Does anyone want to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have any questions? Then I call for the motion.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. Item number 2B, and Ms. Bolin.
Item 2B is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 402-77010E from an AR-10A agricultural residential 10-acre minimum lot size zone to an AR-4A agricultural residential 4-acre minimum lot size zone and an AR agricultural residential zone to allow for a minor land division in the scenic vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wants to speak on this item? Is the applicant present? Then I'll close the public hearing. Does any commissioners have any questions on this? The chair calls for a motion.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Item number 3. Yes. You are recused. Mr. White?
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners. Item number 3 is an evaluation of a request for a special use permit for assessor's parcel number 226-07134 to allow for a recreational vehicle park in a C2 1A general commercial 1-acre minimum lot size zone in the Fort Mojave vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions with the additional condition of legal access to the site must be obtained.
I will open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this one? Then I will close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have questions or comments?
I have a question for staff.
Mr. Neal?
With the photo that was just on the screen, is that this a part of that same park?
Madam Chairwoman, Commissioner Meal, yes, so this is, this special use permit is being obtained so that way they can expand the current RV park. So they own the parcel to the north, that's a current RV park, and now they're trying to develop this parcel.
Any other questions from the commissioners? I now call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve per staff recommendation.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. We'll now move to item number 4A. Mr. White.
Item number 4A is an evaluation of a request for an amendment to the South Mojave Valley Area Plan from a mobile home park land use designation to a commercial land use designation for assessor's parcel number 224-23004 in the Mojave Valley vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? I'm going to close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have any questions? Hearing none, I now call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve for staff recommendation.
Second.
We now have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. We now are on item 4B. Mr. White.
Item number 4B is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 224-23004 from an RMH 6A residential manufactured homes 6-acre minimum lot size zone to a C2 general commercial zone to allow for an indoor boat and recreational vehicle storage facility in the Mojave Valley vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
I open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this item? Close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have questions or comments at this time?
I'd like to just make a comment briefly, if I may. The inclusion of the storage facility off the main route, I think, is a big plus for the community. We're seeing too many, in my opinion, too many large storage facilities on 95 or on major highways that basically makes it all look like one big storage lot for everything. So I applaud their use of this parcel of land for that reason. Thank you.
Chair calls for a motion.
I move to accept item 4B with staff recommendations.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. We now are moving to item number 5. Miss Bolin.
Item number 5 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 306-46005F from an AR 7A agricultural residential 7-acre minimum lot size zone to an AR agricultural residential zone to allow for a minor land division in the Golden Valley vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this one? Close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have any questions or comments at this time? Hearing none, the chair calls for a motion.
I move to approve item 5 according to staff recommendation.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We now move to item number 6. Mr. Gunderson.
Item number 6 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessors parcel numbers 32908, 020, 038, 044 through 047, 055, 056, 059 through 063, 065, 068, 079, 081, 102 through 105, 108 through 136, through 105, 108, 136 through 138, and 155 through 157 from an R1 1A, single-family residential, 1 acre minimum lot size zone, and an RM 1A, multifamily residential, 1 acre minimum lot size zone, to an AR agricultural residential zone to allow for agricultural residential uses, including recreational vehicles to be used as residences in the White Hills vicinity. That's a total of 28 lots that are being rezoned. Staff has received 1 letter of opposition to this item. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on this subject?
The applicant.
Yes. Did you say you would like to speak?
Yeah, as the applicant, yeah.
As the applicant.
Good morning, Honorable Commissioners. Chairman, my name is Kathy Tackett Hicks. I'm acting as the owner's agent in the issue. I did want to recognize Matt did forward over the 1 opposition today. This is going to be unique because next month you're going to see a couple more applications for this. In fact, I can show you kind of a little picture of what we're looking at. This picture shows the first 28 up here in the pink, the letter of opposition. I marked it out, these black lots up here. This area has R1 1A lots in it. It was initially, platted 50 years ago. There are very few homes. There might be 1 or 2 out in this section. The new owner that purchased it, Western Land and Ranches, and did purchase all these other blue ones as well with the county tax deed sale. And her goal is to allow for RV spaces, RV uses on these lots. The existing zoning of R1 1A doesn't allow her to request an RV permit at the county. So all of the RV units would be required to have a septic installed. I think it's a really good use. After 50 or 60 years, the lots, I think, have a real chance of being used, and I think it would favor everyone in that area. If you have any questions, I just wanted to explain that because you'll be seeing 2 more applications next month for another 185 lots. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I guess lastly, I did reach out to the opposition. I placed a phone call to Mr. Strickland to explain to them what we're doing. I've received 1 other phone call from a Mr. Jay Russell, who was asking to be included in this application. I don't know, I forwarded him to you and to Audrey to see if we could throw his lot in there, but.
I have a question.
Mr. Meal?
The question says RV homes, correct?
To utilize a lot, one of them single-family residential, or the option of requesting an RV permit to place an RV unit on there.
Okay,
Yes.
are the RVs going to be set up to code? Or which means, are they going to be there that permanent?
Yeah.
And the set up to code with tie downs and all that?
Yeah, so the county does have a process where you submit for an RV permit. They'll make sure that it is installed per code. They'll also make sure that you have a septic system that's authorized for use through the Environmental Health Department too. So This is the way to go.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else wish to speak on this item? Then I'll close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have any more questions?
I do, for staff.
Yes, ma'am.
Being that we have so many lots that are being applied for, was the notice sent out within the 300 feet to all the surrounding areas? I mean,
Madam Chair, Commissioner Martin, yes, so the 300-foot radius is around every lot that is being rezoned as part of this rezone. So within 300 feet of all of those lots, those property owners received a letter. And then like Ms. Hicks said, there will be 2 more applications coming next month, and so those ones will be sent out for those upcoming applications.
thank you.
I have a question for staff. So this is an existing subdivision, is that correct?
That is correct.
That they just are going to change the zoning on the individual lots?
That is correct.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing. Does any more commissioners have any questions? Then I will call for a motion.
Chairman Gillette, just a little clarification on these. This is an old, I don't know that we have a date on how old the subdivision is, but it's a subdivision that's been platted years and years ago that basically never took. So just it would differ from a subdivision that would be platted, say, today or within the last 10 years or so, with the improvements in that were required within the recent time frame. This was a subdivision, and I'm looking to Matt to correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a subdivision that's been platted quite some time ago that did not have those same requirements at that time.
But now, when it goes through this process, those requirements will have to be met?
No. So these lots are existing lots that are out there, and Kathy can probably... So the initial rezone was done back in 1969, so it was probably platted about that time. So these lots are existing. Somebody could go in and build a house on these lots today. What they're looking to do is to rezone it to allow for manufactured homes or RVs to be able to be placed on these lots, which would allow the use. Currently, the R1 zone does not allow for that, but the proposed use or the proposed zone would.
So under the old subdivision, all of the egress, ingress items were taken care of or will be taken care of now?
That's a multifaceted question there. Existing rights-of-way have been dedicated, however, improvements to those rights-of-way have not. So improvements such as paving, curb, gutter, and all of those that we would require today of a subdivision were not at that time. They were not required at that time. So those do not exist out there as it currently sits. And they would not be required at this time because the lots have been platted already.
But as this goes through this process, anything that absolutely needs to be done in this subdivision will be done. Is that correct?
Again, a very multifaceted question. Needs to be done. Ultimately, I guess the question is, or the answer would be, it's not required to be brought up to current standards of a subdivision that you would see today. Therefore, it would not be required to put in streets, pavement, curb and gutter, those types of things. To be able to live on the lot, yes, a septic tank would be required. Are they doing water haul?
Yeah.
So they'd likely be doing water haul at this location to get the water out there.
Do you have something you'd like to say?
I do. I just want to clarify some of the improvements. So Tim is correct in what he said from the county's perspective. I just want you to know when we process these types of subdivisions, old lots, the owner is required to file a disclosure, a public report through the Department of Real Estate As part of that, they are required to provide legal access to every one of those lots, and they are required to provide two-wheel drive physical access to all of those. So although it may not have to be the exact 2% slope with ditches on the side road, they are required to allow each property owner to gain access to those lots. So physical and legal is required to get that public report, has been already completed for these lots.
Is the owner of these lots planning on selling them individually?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and they already have a market. The Western Land and Ranches has been doing rural lots for the past several years. I've worked on other projects with them. They do large lots. These are the smallest lots that they're offering right now, and the pandemic kind of created that marketing avenue because people do just want to get away in their RVs. So this works out good, and she did go through the process of purchasing all those tax deed lots, which none of the taxes were paid. I mean, this has been sitting here doing nothing. Yeah, in the 60s, 55 years ago, it was platted. I mean, this is the first breath of fresh air for this area, I think. But the improvements are in there. I just wanted you to know that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have anyone else want to speak on this subject? Are there any other questions from the commissioners?
I have a question for staff.
Commissioner Meal?
Roads and streets, are they on the county's good list, or what's the story on it?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Meal, the roads are all, it's dedicated right-of-way. That's about, from an aerial image, it looks like most of them have been driven on. You can kind of see where the roads are on the aerial images. But I don't believe they are currently maintained by the county.
What's the process for getting it on the county, the maintenance program for the roads?
For that, I would have to defer to our Public Works Department.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Greg Vanderveer, Mojave County Public Works Department. The roads would have to be brought up to a standard acceptable to Mojave County at no expense to the county, and then turned over via a petition process to Mojave County, and then they would have to be accepted by the Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions? I will call for a motion.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Now reach item 7A. Mr. White?
Chairman, I'm going to ask to be excused from that, 7A and 7B.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Abbott is excused.
Item number 7A is an evaluation of a request for an amendment to the Long Mountain Area Plan from an RR5A, Rural Residential 5-acre minimum lot size land use designation, to an SE, Suburban Estates land use designation for assessor's parcel number 33016-014M in the Long Mountain vicinity. Staff has received 14 total letters of correspondence, 1 letter of support, and 13 letters of opposition. With the letters that we have received, it has crossed the 20% threshold for opposition within the 300 feet radius to require a 4/5 vote of the Mojave County Board of Supervisors to pass the rezone. Staff recommends denial on the basis that the proposed amendment to the Long Mountain Area Plan would be considered a spot land use designation, and that the surrounding area does not contain other land use designations similar to the above proposed action and would conflict with the current character of the area.
Thank you, Mr. White. I have some requests to speak on this subject. Mr. DePries, is it? DePries? DePrez, sorry, excuse me. Oh, I don't know that that's what you're supposed to do. I guess you do. I have to open the public hearing first, so now.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Give me your name and your address.
D. Dupre, 5561 North Doyle Road, Kingman, Arizona, 86409. I live in this area, which is all 5 acres, and my family has had it for well over 30 years, and just want to keep it sparse, and I don't understand why we're not, there's one road that goes in and all the parcels are there, but I didn't receive a letter of a rezoning or anything, and I'd like to know why. Shouldn't everybody within an area that is the same, and if one person wants to change it all, shouldn't they all be included in knowing what's going on?
300 feet.
Yeah, 300 feet is not very far, especially when everybody has 5 acres.
Does any staff want to address this?
Just wanted to say, from the legal perspective, the requirement under the law is 300 feet. If, while there may be some concerns for other residents in an area outside of the 300-foot limit, the law only requires the 300-foot limit, and that's what Mojave County complies with. If people fall outside of that limit, they're certainly welcome to come and participate here, as Ms. Dupre is here today, but they don't get notice unless they're within the 300 feet, according to the law.
Can we change that law?
That's by statute.
Oh. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're at the open public hearing, and I have another person who would like to speak on this, Martha Mann.
Good morning. Do I just start talking?
Please give me your name and your address.
My name is Martha Mann, and I'm at 1595 West Jordan Ranch Road. And we bought our home about 3 years ago. My husband is also asking to speak, and he's more up on all the zoning things. But we bought this home with the understanding that, I believe you had to have a minimum of 5 to 10 acres. And it's our dream home. I have 2 disabled children. That will be their inheritance. Neither one of them work or are able to work. So the fact that this gentleman got away with doing this so he could maybe make some more money at the expense of all these lovely people that live in this area. And we're not all wealthy. We aren't big shots, but we have worked very hard to get to where we're at. And I would ask the court to consider that this was not done in good faith by the gentleman that chose to do this. Thank you very much for listening to me. I appreciate it. So I'm against it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that when you gave your report, Mr. White, you said that the staff is not recommending this.
Yes, Madam Chairman, we are recommending denial on the fact that it would be a spot designation and would be in conflict with the surrounding character of the neighborhood.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to deny per staff recommendation.
Second.
And Mr. Meal, second. I have a motion to not approve this rezoning.
Do we have a chance to speak?
Certainly. We will stop right here and you can get a chance to talk.
Good morning, everybody. I'm the applicant, Michael Johnson, for the property in said area. I don't want to start out and say anything that is negative. What started us on this whole ordeal was, if you look at the original map you had up there that showed the property, there was a wash that splits it. Okay? Half the property is no use to the front half without a big wash that you have to go through, so that gave me the idea. I'm trying to build a house for my son. And we put in our rebuttal, which I was told by Mr. White was forwarded to the clerk for you guys to see, that they're saying too far away. They're trying to compare it from areas 4 miles away. If you look right down at the beginning of Jordan Ranch Road, less than a half mile away, it's already zoned to 1 acre minimums. Same side of the road, less than a half mile away. If you go to the back of the property, less than a quarter of a mile away, it's already zoned to 1 acre minimums. That's the whole reason I put in and started this whole process, because otherwise, if I wasn't told by developmental services that they didn't see any reason that it wouldn't go through because of the area and what's already been done, I wouldn't be wasting anybody's time. That's why I put in the rebuttal that everything east of Kingman Reef, north of West Jordan Ranch Road, most of it is already zoned 1 acre minimum. It's the only reason why I'm here. It's the only reason why I even submitted the request or want anything thereof done. As far as all the negativity that came out of this, I do believe that was started by an individual or two in the area that just simply don't want it. They're almost acting like God. And I don't understand it. I didn't know there was so much negativity in the area for people that are basically not even anything to do with it. But anyways, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I have a hand. Would you like to speak?
Yes, I will.
Please state your name and your address.
Sure. My name is John Mann. My address is 1595 West Jordan Ranch Road in Kingman. I learned of this when we were just driving down Jordan Ranch Road, which we normally do. Oh, by the way, you should be aware that there are several staffers out there who, when we came in, told us that the meeting had been moved to 3250 Keno Avenue. So this may be slightly underrepresented because it takes about 15 minutes to get there and then come back. Having said that, I have a problem with changing zoning for an area that obviously is very attractive. The current zone has created an area that's very nice, not just for retirees like me, but for young couples, young families. And to change the zoning to 2 acres and then 1 acre, it just kind of obviates the whole idea of zoning. My understanding was that this plan took a very long time to create. It's very attractive, and I'd like to keep it that way. There is another problem too, which is I can speak to directly. We have a well. We've lived there for 12 years, well, for 4 years. The well has been there about 30 years, and in the last 6 months, the well has gone almost completely dry. That's not an unusual situation there, and the more wells that are drilled in the area, the more problems we're going to have there. So I am opposed to this. Normally, I'm very, very sympathetic to a person wanting to use his land to do what he wants to do, but we do have zoning laws, and I think they should be they should be enforced. Thank you very much for listening to me.
I have a question. Did you say that there's someone out front saying that this meeting was not being held
Yes,
today?
that's correct. Actually, I asked several people, and they all said, oh, we just got notice. It's been moved to 3250 Keno Avenue. So, of course, I fired up the old diesel, and we beat feet over there, and they looked at us like we were crazy. And I came back here, and I asked another staffer who said, oh, no, it's just been moved to 3250 Keno Avenue. So I think we've got a problem there.
Yeah, you're saying a staffer for the commission?
I have no idea in this building. I'm not familiar with the organization of this government very much. So, because we are fairly new here, we haven't.
But whoever this was is representing themselves as a staffer from this building.
Well, it's behind plexiglass stuff. And said, oh no, the Planning and Commission meeting has been moved to 3250 Keno Avenue. That's all I can tell you.
If you're saying behind plexiglass, that sounds like one of the offices that open up into this hallway out here in
Yes,
front?
I believe so. Well, there you have it. But thank you for listening to me. I'm opposed, obviously, to this.
Thank you very much for your
with regret.
input.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Madam?
My husband doesn't want me to talk about the type of house he built, but I don't know why.
Please state your name and your
Martha
address.
Mann, 1595 West Jordan Ranch Road. It appears to be a duplex. My husband doesn't want me to say that. For some reason, I usually listen to him, but I wanted to also bring up the quality of the water. The water is not very good there. It's very sparse. We had to build 2 holding tanks. It was very expensive. So the more people you have there, the aquifers there are not that good. We're going to have to go down really, really far, is what the well company told us. So we have to have all sorts of water softeners and all sorts of stuff, because even the quality of the water is not very good. So I think just there's no way, unless the city wanted to bring water out there. You go into town and you see the people at McDonald's using hoses on their parking lot when we're all struggling for water because of the drought. So it's just the situation, and I don't know who this gentleman is. I'm not a big shot. There's a lot of people who aren't big shots that I think would like to be here. Many of them work. I'm off my job right now. I'm starting up again in about 2 weeks. So please consider us little folk. This is really, my husband, he doesn't want me to say this too, but he has 2 types of cancer, and this is our home, please. I'm more emotional because I'm a lady, I guess. But I'm begging you all to not listen to this gentleman. I'm sure he has other interests. I'm sure he can find another place for his son to live without sacrificing the situation in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor, and the motion is...
Madam Chair,
Yes?
if I may, first thing is you would also need to close the public meeting as well. That's okay. And then I did have a comment or two.
Okay, I will close the public hearing.
Just as a comment, well, the item that you're seeing before you right now is a plan amendment to the Long Mountain area plan. So it's an area plan specifically for that area. And if you, I don't know if we can bring it back up on our maps, but there is a Long Mountain area plan map that we provided that shows delineations in the different designations that we provided. So there's a 20-acre minimum, there's a 10-acre minimum, and then there's the 5-acre minimum as the pink, where this property is located right on the edge of the 10-acre minimum. That's why staff is recommending denial, is because it would be contrary to that area plan and would not fit for the character of the area. The applicant did mention some properties to the east that were rezoned. One is a subdivision that was created in the around 89 at Juniper Lake. So that's a subdivision that went through a different process. There are a few other parcels that were rezoned in 2002 along the same road that this one's located on. When we researched the resolution for those items, it appeared that they misinterpreted the area plan for that area, and it was approved based on the fact that it had a 1 acre minimum. But it currently still does have the 5 acre minimum for the area plan. When staff received this application, we did notify the applicant that we are recommending denial and did give him the opportunity to withdraw and receive a refund if he would like to as well. Just thought you would like that information as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your help. I appreciate it. Okay, I do have a motion on the floor to deny this applicant. So I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. And we will move to item 7B. Mr. White.
Item number 7B is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 33016-014M from an AR5A agricultural residential 5 acre minimum lot size zone to an AR2A agricultural residential 2 acre minimum lot size zone to allow for a minor land division in the Long Mountain vicinity. As I mentioned under item 7A, we did receive 14 letters of correspondence, 1 letter of support, 13 of opposition. And with those letters we received, it did surpass the 20% threshold for opposition within the 300-foot radius. In addition, there is a rebuttal statement in your packets. Staff does recommend denial for the proposed rezone. Proposed rezone will not comply with the area plan, and the proposed rezone would be considered spot zone as a very neighboring area that is not contained other zoning and densities similar to the above proposed action.
Thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing. Please state your name and your address.
Matthew Johnson, 1481 West Jordan Ranch Road, Kingman, Arizona. First of all, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Good morning. So I'm the applicant's son. My name is Matthew Johnson. I would be the one receiving the lower half if this would pass. It's not for profit. We have zero interest in selling the property. My grandparents originally purchased this property in '79. It has, some sentimental value. I plan to, raise a family out there. I have a 2-year-old son. I'd love to build a house. I understand. I read all the opposition letters. I think most of the problem with everyone is the water, right? That's kind of the general problem. It seems to be the water. I already live out there. I'm already utilizing water. Another well for another house is not going to make a major problem in the water. However, I don't want to make anybody mad. I don't want to mess with anyone else's land. I don't want to do, it's unfortunate that it has to be an amendment to the Long Mountain plan. I understand a lot of them aren't 10 acre minimums and they love that. I don't want them to change that. If that's what they enjoy, hey, good for them. I'm just trying to change something for myself. There's a huge wash going through the middle of the property that almost splits it in half. It's almost like, we have 2 acres already and then there's 2 acres of trees and it's beautiful. It's just, it's tough. There's no way to really reroute that wash either to make, more use of the land. Yeah, it's tough seeing the opposition. I understand it. I understand people enjoy out there. I enjoy it out there. I've enjoyed it out there my entire life. My grandparents owned it a long time. So I hope you guys consider that and a potential approval. It's not for profit, but yes, there will be another well drilled. So, all right, thank you guys.
Do we have any questions? Anyone else want to speak from the public? Then I'm going to close the public hearing. Does any commissioner wish to ask the staff any questions?
Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to make a comment.
Go right ahead.
most of the, it's being said that most of the opposition is in regards to water. But I'm hearing the strong opposition is to changing the size of the lots and the expectation of the current homeownership from what they purchased the property for. And I very much understand, Mr. Johnson, the family connection and how, you feel that this would not affect anybody else. But as a commission, if we were to change the zoning and we were to allow this, it would then open the door for anybody else to be doing the same thing. And that's not what the people who have lived there for years and years would like to see on their property.
Thank you, Commissioner Alexander. I'm going to go close the public hearing. The chair now calls for a motion.
I move to deny the item 7B according to the staff recommendation.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I do want to ask staff, before I close out this totally, to find out what happened. Who told these people that we were not having our meeting today? I think we need to know. Thank you. Item number 8, Gunderson.
Item number 8 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 254-36035 from an AR 36A agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size zone to an AR 9A agricultural residential 9-acre minimum lot size zone to bring the property into compliance in the old Highway 93 vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
I will open the public hearing, but I see Commissioner is back. I'm opening the public hearing on this. Anyone wishes to speak? Then I'm going to close the public hearing. Do any of the commissioners have any questions? Then I call for a motion.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation.
I'll second the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Chairman, Commissioner Alexander, the chair now has a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. And we are at item number 9. Mr. Gunderson.
Item number 9 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 206-28009 from an AR 36A agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size zone to an AR 5A agricultural residential 5-acre minimum lot size zone and an AR 9A agricultural residential 9-acre minimum lot size zone to allow for a minor land division in the Kingman vicinity. Staff has received one letter of opposition for this item. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
I'm going to open the public hearing, and I do have some people who wish to speak. Gregory, I'm sorry, Gregory, but I can't pronounce your last name.
Like that my whole life. Mikolajczyk.
Give your name and your address, please.
Gregory Mikolajczyk, 4068 East Buckskin Lane. And I oppose to this because 3.5 years ago, we bought this house. And it was secluded and quiet, but the biggest thing for my wife was the view. We were told it's established up there. Everything was wonderful, and it is beautiful up there. But since living there, we had one house being built. It took 15 months to build this home. So you can imagine if 5 to 7 homes are being built back there, how long would it take? 5 to 7 years? Listening to heavy equipment, listening to cement trucks, payloaders, backhoes, bobcats, listening to contractors running in and out. And it's across the valley. One house was renovated there this summer, and everything echoed. You could hear the contractors swearing across it. From our home, you could hear the people talking. But this here is going to obstruct our view, and it's going to be, what's my next 5 years? I got to listen to heavy equipment running? Why all these homes are being built? It's just not, it's insane. It's going to be, and Mojave County don't pay for our roads. We have to pay to get the material and get the backhoe and get the payloaders to fix our roads. They just fix lazy while you drive. And it was totally, we spent $1,200 the year before this house was built. It's just a mess. Contractors, they're driving 40 miles an hour. They're bringing payloaders down the street, backup horns, 6:30 in the morning. That's the kind of retirement I had. This is going to be a 5-year project, if not more. And what does agricultural mean? Does that mean they could have cows and horses? Does anybody know?
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes, it does.
So I'm going to have the wonderful smell coming from the southwest of cow manure if somebody moves in and has a herd of cattle. I mean, this is my retirement home.
Thank you very much.
Can I say one thing more I'm concerned about is the water aquifer? It's already depleted. The neighbor above me, he passed away a year ago, but his water was going dry. And I think this would really take into our water. Thank you for hearing me.
I have a question for, gentlemen. What size property is your house on now?
8 acres, 8.5.
And these, he wants 9 acres, right?
No, it says anything from 5 to 9.
Okay.
They said 4 to 5 houses with 5-acre lots, plus agricultural.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I also have a Bruce Kowal, who would like to speak on this subject. State your name and your address.
Bruce Kowal, 4024 East Buckskin Lane, Kingman, Arizona. Thank you for your time. I too am new to the area. Been here for almost 2 years. Greg is my neighbor up the road here. We have a beautiful view. We have animals that come by. If a 40-acre lot is divided down into from 1 lot to 4, that's 4 more people or 3 more houses. They're accessing our roads and creating a disturbance in our neighborhood. So we enjoy our views, our solitudes. I was up last night, sitting on my balcony, listening to a great horned owl in my valley that I don't think I'd be able to hear if there was a lot more houses around there. So thank you for your time. I'm opposed.
Are there any questions? Commissioner Alexander?
Sir, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Just as Commissioner Abbott asked the last gentleman, what size is the lot that you live on?
My lot was purchased. It's just it's 6 acres.
6 acres? Are you aware that the lots all around that is also 6 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres?
Well, that's true in some extent. There's an awful lot of 40-acre lots around this area, and there's an awful lot of 5-acre lots in the YU area. So if somebody wants to buy a 5-acre lot, they're abundant. They don't have to subdivide a lot here to create that for them to be able to purchase a place to build their home. So I have a unique situation where I moved. I brought my father with me. He's 90 years old, and the house that I've got is constructed in such a way that I can have him live there with me. And So I'm in a unique situation. I would have loved 40 acres. My wife said, this house is for us. Thank you.
I have a question or a comment. You know, we as commissioners, the way I look at it, and I believe I'm right, we see where all these others lots are. Mrs. Alexander said sizes. Makes it pretty difficult for us to tell this gentleman he can't do what we've already allowed him to, the others to do. So that's where it puts us, as far as I see.
You asked for public input. This is public input from the people that are already living there, saying, no, we don't want this.
We've had public input in these other rezoning also.
It's true. All I can do is tell you what I feel.
Thank you.
We also have another gentleman who would like to speak on this. David Davis.
Hi, I'm David Divis. I live at 3991 East Lawman Drive. And a lot of those lots you're talking about, the smaller lots, are the one side of the property that's being proposed to be changed. I bought all those lots so that I wouldn't have little lots around me, because I came from the city, I grew up on a rural area, and I retired here. And I wanted a bigger lot, and so I was able to buy the whole thing. And the reason I did that was to stop more homes going around me. We live on a dirt road, and I mean, it's bad enough when the garbage trucks come by ripping up and down the road and tearing the roads up, but when there's construction, the construction equipment, because there's another place being built down Lawman from, or Lazy YU from us, and the cement trucks, and they just tear the road up because it's a dirt road. The county road's being torn up, the wash, you know, when we have the monsoons, it's torn up. It's just more property out there with people on it, more homes. One, I wanted to keep my view so I could have all the views of the sunset. It was the reason when I walked onto the property the first time I bought the house, it was the sunset. And my wife and I both fell in love with that in the rural area where we wanted our grandkids to come. So putting 4 or 5 more houses right next to me kind of defeats the purpose of me buying all the lots on my side. I don't have enough money to buy any more lots, and we squeezed as much as we could. So I'm adamantly opposed to chopping these places up. I mean, I'd rather put mine all into one piece than have another one chopped into 4 or 5 pieces.
Thank you.
No questions?
Any questions for this speaker? No, thank you, sir. I have one more speaker who wanted to speak. His name is Rich Thacker. Please state your name and your address.
Thank you. Rich Thacker, 3999 E Buckskin Lane, Kingman. I am a 40-acre lot owner, and roughly 1,000 linear foot of my property adjoins the property that's being subdivided. This rezoning proposal presents a large impact on my land, home, lifestyle, and monetary investment. Agent KTH Consulting didn't return my call, even though her letter invited questions and comments. So this must be a mini subdivision in the middle of an established rural, well-separated neighborhood with existing homeowners like me who expect the owner of this property to honor the original zoning of Lazy YU Ranch. My wife and I bought our 40 acres 6 years ago from one of the first developers of Lazy YU Ranch, Bob Beulah. 30 years ago, he was involved in the development of the subdivision, so we know firsthand the original intent of Lazy YU, and we want to preserve the original intended rural ranchette mindset. We protest this rezoning request because we don't want a 4-home subdivision on property intended for one home, which would give us 10 new close neighbors, 8 cars, 4 ATVs, 6 dogs, etc., bringing noise, dust, and turmoil to our quiet area. This property is surrounded by the 5 people that have presented opposition to this rezoning. We bought the 40 acres 6 years ago. This year we moved into our new home. A new subdivision next door would surely devalue our land and property due to the loss of the rural ranchette Lazy Bayou is known for. There are unsold lots available in Lazy Bayou. We don't need to meet a demand. This is a developer trying to make a quick buck selling land for an out-of-state owner with a disregard for the present adjoining neighborhood. What would 4 water wells do for us? This request will not protect our neighborhood and conserve our property values, as is one of the purposes of rezoning boards, is to see that that doesn't happen. Additionally, the change of the surrounding neighborhood is something else in the zoning regulations that you guys govern. It just changes the whole character of what our neighborhood is. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this gentleman? Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Is the owner here? Come on down. Your name and your address.
Good morning, Kathy Tackett Hicks. I'm the owner's agent, 3751 Martingale Drive in Kingman, Arizona. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. This is the 3rd meeting this item has been agendized for, and because of craziness and not noticing and other things, it finally is being heard today. The county just received 1 opposition letter yesterday, which didn't have a telephone number, so I couldn't respond. I've not heard from any of these gentlemen here, but I would absolutely want to speak with them. The one gentleman is correct. Most of these properties now surrounding, the last gentleman has an AR-10A and AR-5A zoning to the north of this. The other gentleman has a AR-5, AR-10 to the south. There's AR-6, AR-8, AR-6. I was not aware that there was any type of opposition. This complies with county regulations. I am also aware of the initial setup of the Lazy Bayou ranches. They were set up as an unsubdivided public reports, 36 acres, and they were always intended to be broken down. That has never been a question, which is why we have so many lots out there now. This still matches the county general plan. It matches the county zoning regulations, and we would ask that you approve this. But if there are specific questions, some of the issues that they brought up, they want to maintain a view. This private property owner would like a view as well. The site plan that I submitted shows 4 lots. And I don't know if they received some of the information, but it shows 3 AR-9A lots, which is a minimum, so those would probably be 3 10-acre lots. And then because of the road on the south side, there's just a natural piece that's about 5.5 acres. So technically, realistically, and factually, this rezone would allow for 3 more additional homes. Not 4, it's not a subdivision. The state is clear on what a subdivision is. This is a lot split and a division of land, not a subdivision. I don't know how you would like me to address this. I am surprised at any type of opposition. I always reach out and speak with them to see if we can come up with something. This does comply with everything, and I'd ask you, since it's the 3rd agenda on here, to approve it, but I'll take any direction you have.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Commissioner Abbott?
Yeah.
Clarify again, which you did already, but I mentioned this and someone else said 5 acres. The man's wanting to get, the applicant's wanting to get 9 acres, right?
The zoning is AR 9A, so that would be the minimum lot size. Those would be at least 10-acre
I'm
sites.
familiar with that area and looked at property up there and owned property in that area. There is a lot of 5-acre parcels already zoned up there, right?
Correct. Many, many.
Those that are going to be close to this are zoned what?
Well, AR5, AR6, AR10, AR8, AR7. I mean, we're right in the middle.
Same information.
Correct.
Okay.
I think the county had the map up there that showed, I mean, the property owner in the state of Arizona, you can break it down into 5 parcels. This owner was requesting 4 parcels. Clearly, the market could sell 5, but I thought that was good. He only went to 4 parcels. There'll be 3 10-acre parcels and 1 5-acre. It may, who knows when homes will ever be built on it? I mean, I have no idea. If it took 5 years to do the other one, maybe it'll take 30 years. I have no idea.
I have a question then for staff to maybe clarify something. When someone comes to you with 36 acres like this, do you have any grounds to reject what this person asking for? I see what your recommendation is.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Abbott, so when staff gets a rezone application, the main things that we look at are going to be the general plan designation and the surrounding area. And so in this instance, because the surrounding properties have zoning that are similar to what's being proposed here, that is why staff recommended approval. Any further, any input from the public and things like that, that is to be taken under consideration by the commission.
Thank you.
I don't believe there's any more questions.
Thank you.
One of the things that I would like to say is that all of us up here, all of the commissioners, live in Mojave County. We all understand what your problems are. We understand having a view, and then suddenly someone who owns the property next door builds a house, and your view is no longer there. We understand that, but we have to follow the laws, and that's what we do. So I will entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to approve for a staff recommendation.
I have a motion on the floor to approve. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. And now we will move to other items. And item number 10 is the Mojave County Flood District presentation by Paul Brauman, Flood Control District Engineer.
Good morning. My name is Paul Boffman. As you've mentioned, I'm the Flood Control District Engineer. Vice Chair Gillette, members of the Commission, I appreciate the opportunity to present this morning on some of the things that we do as a flood control district. There's a number of functions based on state statute. Some of those involve power or authority delegated from the Board of Directors, or in this case, Board of Supervisors, as they act as directors of the Flood Control District. We regulate floodplain development. We maintain infrastructure. We suggest new rules. The board then chooses whether to adopt them or not. We weigh in on variances. We have our flood warning system. Wanted to go over some of the infrastructure we do maintain. Some of it's in the Wickiup area, Beaver Dam, channels out in Meadview. We have a lot there in Bullhead City and Mojave Valley, Horizon 6 by Lake Havasu. There's a basin up in Valley Vista we recently completed, and a lot of channels here in the Kingman area that we maintain. We also have weather stations and cameras that we use to monitor flooding, and the general public has access to those and the data involved in that. There's a lot of flood studies going on right now. I mean, as people mention washes and other floodplain to the commission, I mean, those are things that we are constantly working on, trying to update and create better accurate maps for people to base their development decisions on and for us to regulate and issue permits based on. But these are just some areas that we're working on right now and have recently completed or are in progress. Service requests, I think that was the gist of what we were asked to present on, or the general idea. We get service requests, which basically means somebody has a drainage concern or a flooding concern. They call us, we respond, we go out, we visit, we'll meet with the person who's concerned. If possible, we'll meet with the person who they're concerned about or the person who they say caused the problem. We'll review what happened. We'll inform everybody of the laws related to that, which I'll go over here shortly. At the end of that, we send them letters. We include pictures we've taken. We document that. We hold on to it for 5 years. In case somebody does decide to take an action, there's a third impartial party that's made an effort to understand the situation. We have situations here, as I show on the screen, where people will sometimes impact our public infrastructure. In this case, one of our roads out on Bacobi has several wash crossings. One of the wash crossings is rather large. The gentleman with the property next to it put up a berm. We contacted the gentleman and said, this is backing up water onto our road. It's causing us maintenance issues. Take it down. We were rather emphatic that he take it down. He's working with us right now to do so. And we anticipate he'll replace it with boulders, since MSHA, which is kind of like OSHA, but for sand and gravel pits, requires that you have some sort of barrier, and we require as a flood control district that you not block floodwaters. So we went ahead and notified him of such, gave him 30 days, and he's still within the 30 days. But just an example of the type of things we do when we get service requests, and especially when it impacts things that the county is responsible for maintaining. Let's see, I'm going to go back because there's one, there we go, I missed one here. The picture here next to the service requests was another one out there in Horizon 6 where a gentleman was concerned about floodwaters. He wanted to self-protect, put up a nice big wall for himself and his neighbor, and we were promptly notified and let him know that, look, you can't do this. You can't just block floodwaters. I mean, you may not like them going through your property, but if that's what happens via nature, you have to let nature take its course. And so he went ahead and, after resistance, he went ahead and opened up an area, and now floodwaters can go back through the property similar to how they were before. Wanted to note that. We do have ARS, some revised statutes. The main point here I want to make is that those who are damaged, including the county, can take action. In the previous two instances I noted, we did take action. We notified them. We let them know that there'd be further action if they didn't remedy the situation, and in one case he remedied it. In another case he's working on remedying it and has committed to pulling permits and such. But that's the main gist, is that people need to remedy it, and they can be liable for damages if they don't. There's violations. Basically it says you need to pull a permit if you're going to be doing work in a floodplain. You want to build a house, you want to do anything that is going to obstruct or retard floodwaters, you need to come to the county and you need to get a floodplain use permit. And we go ahead and review that against our codes, our floodplain code, our drainage design manual. We have a lot of documents that provide guidance and assist us in determining whether or not a floodplain use permit is appropriate to issue. Other things we do, it's called MS4, municipal stormwater sanitary sewer stuff, that in the county, because certain areas have a certain density of population, particularly near Lake Havasu, Horizon 6 and Desert Hills fall under what ADQ terms a area that is of concern for stormwater pollutants. What this means to the county is we're required to go out there and regulate anybody who starts a construction site or is going to discharge anything from debris. I know it sounds funny that sediment is considered a pollutant, but it is, and so if it clogs up the wash or clogs up the culverts, I mean, that's something that has to be addressed. But we issue what are known as stormwater permits that require them to put straw sock. You may have seen that around construction sites, or We have other means. There's washout areas that are designated. You can't just wash a concrete truck out anywhere. You have to do it in a certain area that's not going to impact the roadway or wash debris or other things off-site. So these areas are areas that we have to go and periodically monitor for pollutants. Mostly what we find is people put thirstbuster or other trash in the washes, and we clean it out. Occasionally we'll find an old tire and we'll clean it out so it doesn't end up in the Colorado River, but these are just areas that we have to handle as a flood control district. Permits, one of the things I mentioned, property floodplain information we issue. When people want to know if they're in a floodplain, they come to us, we look at our maps and look at the most recent data, and we tell them, okay, this is what you're currently mapped in, and these are the rules. And then if they want a permit, we say, okay, this is how you can get a permit. You have to elevate your house this high. You have to have this many openings if you want to let floodwaters just go through the area. And so we're working on that to try to help people build responsibly. And let's see, so one more, just some information on our activity levels. For a while there in March, we had quite a few property floodplain information requests. It's tapered off a little bit, but still elevated. Our flood permit reviews have actually gone up. So, I mean, as I'm sure planning can tell you, they're very busy. We're busy also, helping people build appropriately and understand the rules. But at this point, I'd like to ask if there's any questions.
Did any of the commissioners have any questions? Commissioner?
Would a person go to the building department first for a permit and get directed to you, or are they to go to you and you authorize if they can get a building permit?
Well, some of both. We have a process right now where they go to apply for a building permit, and the building permit clerks will send them to us first to get a property floodplain information sheet that tells them whether they're in the floodplain or not. If they're not in the floodplain, they have very little to do with us after that. If they are in the floodplain, then our staff will guide them on what they need to do to build within the floodplain regulations. I mean, sometimes we'll suggest, well, part of your property is in the 100-year floodplain. If you moved it over here, you wouldn't have to elevate as much because you're on higher ground. Or we might tell them, okay, this is what you can expect. You're all in the floodplain. This might be a little bit less dangerous in this area. If you build up to this level, you can get a permit. And then we, of course, send them back down to the building department review staff so they can finish their permitting process.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I'm just delighted to hear that you're there. One of the things that we have to evaluate on some of this rezoning is the water, the flood that is coming down from the mountain that you can't see any other time than when it's actually coming. So I'm just delighted to know that we have such a good organization handling it. Thank you so much for coming and giving us a report.
Thank you.
And commissioners, these reports will be sent to you by email. Do we have any commissioners' issues or comments or announcements? Commissioner, what is your name? Martin, Commissioner Martin. Sorry.
I think one of the speakers brought up a good point on the 300-foot notice. When we are dealing with very rural areas, that is such a short distance. How can we go about increasing that footage?
Before you even answer that, I got an answer years ago that when there is a area plan change, the distance is different. So in answering her question, is that true, or have I just been thinking of something that's not true? That's why the one lady that I heard from the back there, she got no notice, and she's about, quarter of a mile from the place.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Martin, and Commissioner Abbott, to answer your questions, first, Commissioner Abbott, yes, prior to 2015, our general plan and area plan requirements for notification was 500 feet, I believe, for minor amendments, and I think it was larger for major amendments. In 2015, when they did the general plan update, they reduced that amount, and the zoning ordinance update, they reduced the amount for the general plan and area plan notification to the same notification that we require for rezones. So it's the 300-foot notification boundary. Like what we said before, the notification requirement is set by state statute, is the 300-foot notification. The county or the commission we could make changes to our ordinance. We could allow more notification if we desired. One issue that might come to that is it would be more difficult for the applicants by increasing the amount of letters or notification that is required for each rezone or applications that they submit. It would be a cost and burden on the applicants as well. But so the county's stance, what we've taken is in the past is that we would do what was required by state, and that's where we've been for a while.
I myself feel that we should increase it back to the 500 foot, and we're just dealing with such rural properties. It's not, we're not dealing with city zoning. This is very rural, and I think it should be a courtesy to those around the area.
Commissioner Martin, Vice Chairman Gillette, just from a legal standpoint, and Mr. Holtry's correct, what the ordinance currently does is drops the notification requirement to the statutory minimum. We can increase that through a change in the ordinance. We would not be able to do that today at this meeting, but I would take your suggestion as a request under item 12 as a request for a future agenda item that can be placed on a future agenda, and the commission can take that under consideration and then pass that on to the board.
Thank you.
Any other requests or remarks? Then we will go to item 13, which is call to the public. I see no one, so I'm going to close the call to the public and request a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Chairman Gillette. Chairman Gillette.
Yes.
If I may, before we adjourn, I'd just like to follow up on the issue of location and notification. Basically, the speaker that mentioned that he was told to go to the other building. It appears that it was a miscommunication, and it was a matter of not understanding the question that was asked and the question that was heard, I believe. The question was asked where planning and zoning was, which the person responding told them where planning and zoning was, 3250 Keno, not knowing that he was looking for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. So we'll be looking at some things to see if we can't make that a little bit clearer and not have that happen again.
Yeah, that would be nice. I don't think that we should have anything happening like that at all. It gives us a bad reputation. Okay, then I now have a...
100%.
Is there anything further?
I probably should have brought mine up as another, I'm just talking to her as another question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a request for adjournment, and so this meeting is adjourned.
But I agree 100%.
John Hassett
has left the conference.